Welcome to day 9 of making money from high ticket sales. This is actually day 10 technically, but this is the morning of it, right? Day 9 was yesterday. I couldn't record yesterday. I was super tired. I had a birthday party and all that, and it took up a lot of time. So I dialed about like 5 to 6 hours yesterday, and I applied to top tier. I was just curious. Now I have these guys like messaging me. I can see from the corner of my MacBook, but anyways, a bit of a breakdown on, yesterday. I realized the reason we have such a high no-show rate is because these leads, they don't have an intention. Like, this is how it kind of works, right? We have two ways of booking them. And I told this to my boss as well, and then I'll tell you what he kind of told me. There's two ways of booking them, right? They see the ad, they can either do the application and then book it themselves, or there's me, where I fill it, they fill it out, but then they don't book it, and then I call them and get them booked like that, right? Now, the issues with these are, sure, they can book it themselves, and they book it for the next day or so, and there's a lot of traffic that comes in, right? The entire week gets booked out, but these leads have no intention to really hop on. They just did it because they were curious, and they don't get that special treatment. They feel like, imagine you, right? You go to the website, you book something, you're like, oh, there you go. You're not going to remember it, right? Like, it's not that important because it feels like a task. It does not even a task. It just feels like something you did. It's like you filled out a flyer, right? It's not, you're not going to actually keep it on your mind. You're not going to be ready for it, right? You're not going to be expecting to invest, right? And the intention is just not there. That's why they don't show up. And then we also have the leads who fill it out and then they don't book. Sure, I call them and I get them booked, right? And I give them that special treatment where they're like, oh shit, this is like important, right? I'm going on a call with the business operator. But here's what happens with that. Because they want to hop on the call with the business operator, I have to book them on a week out, right? Because the calendar's filled with those people who booked it themselves, and the people I'm booking are a week out. And then that buying intention they had in the 1, 2, 3 days, now it's a week out. So that starts going away. And sure, I can keep following up with them, but a week is crazy, right? It's hard to keep track of someone for an entire week. So, like, that's obviously very difficult to deal with, right? And just that being said, I told this to, my boss, right? I was like, what if we got rid of the calendar where people can book it themselves, and all they would do is fill out the application, maybe get another setter like me, right? There's only me right now, and we book them in manually because we would be able to book them in the next 1 to 2 days, right? Having that high intent, and at the same time, we would be able to, like, have quality leads that are going to show up most likely. Like they have that special treatment, right? The business manager gave them a call, got them on a special call with the business operator, right? The strategy session. So it has much more of an impact as opposed to just doing themselves because they don't have an intent, right? It's like, oh, blah blah blah, done, right? As opposed to having a good discovery with me. So told this to him. He said it's not bad, but the issue is they got to look at the data, and also it's not guaranteed because if I'm the only way we're getting bookings, then the volume is going to be super low, right? So that becomes a problem. But this guy, one of his offers is making like a million every 3 months, right? So around like, I think they're making like 300K a month, 300, 400K a month. And that's one or two of his offers. And here's the thing with this offer, our application, he said this is the problem. They're going to see how it works now. The application was a bullet point, right? It was like bullet points. Um, and the problem with that was because they had options like A, B, C, right? How much do you have? 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, right? It doesn't feel the same as opposed to typing it out, which is like truly them saying it, right? Because they got to think about what they're going to say. Because, like, let's say you're applying to an interview, right? You have bullet points, or you're applying to something, right? You do bullet points. Sure, it's going to be quicker, but you waiting for that is going to be like less. You're not going to give much of a shit about that, right? As opposed to, like, if you've ever applied for stuff, when you actually write out the answers, you have more curiosity, more interest, where you're like, oh shit, like, am I going to get a response? I put all that effort into typing this out. I want to hear back from them. As opposed to just doing bullet points, it's not the same effect, right? Because you're like, oh, they're probably just going to go through everything and then because like someone else probably did a similar response as me, as opposed to typing it out. It's not similar, right? So they can get specially picked. But anyways, like that's kind of what it is right now. And just like that being said, they're gonna see how it works because it works with their other offer, right? They're making like 300, 400K a month. So we're gonna see how it works on this. Another thing, I want to triage these calls, but my boss doesn't let me. One of my closers, I was talking with him. One of our closers, we were talking with him. He said triage if you have a booked lead for like a week out, just triage calls until you can remove one, and then you can book him in with my lead or whatever the fuck. I don't know. But a crazy thing is though, like I used to triage, but then like my boss was like, no, you're not allowed to triage. We got two closes because I triaged those two guys. Sure, I didn't get the commissions, but there's a reason why they showed up, right? Because of me. So I honestly don't know. I really want to do something about this. They say they know what they're doing, but like I don't even know at this point. It's kind of cooked, but I don't even give much of a shit. I'm willing to sacrifice like 1 to 2 months, right? Just being kind of broke because eventually I'm closing. Like when I'm closing, right? I'm already better at closing calls than phone calls, right? I already have good discovery. I've been doing this for a very long time now. It's just with these closing calls, I think I could crush it. And it's also, they're going to be on the call, right? I'm going to have control as opposed to setting and then making sure they show up. I don't like doing that, right? I've been doing that shit for too long. And almost every sales rep doesn't like doing that. The closing is the real game. That's the fun game, right? Obviously, I'm sparring every day. I'm practicing for closing. And then eventually I'm going to transition, right? I'm getting the hell out of, this summer, closing is happening. But anyways, just that being said, I guess the main thing is just really like anyone out there who's like, oh my God, I'm not making money. Like if you're a setter and you're not making money, like bro, get ready. Like you're not like making money as a setter is not mandatory, right? It's the skill set. Setting is the test. It's like a test, right? This earth is a test, and then once you do the test, you either go to heaven or hell. Like you kind of understand the point. Like the setting is a test, and then once you get good enough, okay, that was a bad analogy actually, but when you get good at setting, then you'll be like, okay, I'm closing. And good doesn't mean you're gonna make more money, because bro, a lot of that comes down to the offer, right? If you're like I've been on 7 different offers now, and every offer I'm on, there's a problem, right? And it's the offer itself. Sure, I like a lot of my offers back then. It would be we would crush it for 1 to 2 months because they would have everything dialed down. We would make like millions, but then I would be gone, right? Like that happened with my last offer. We made 1 million in a week. In a week. But then the guy didn't want to do any marketing because he already made enough money and he didn't give much of a shit. So he didn't even have a high intention. And the mentorship also filled up. So that's kind of what it came down to. So if you have if you're a setter, like I'm even saying this to myself, if I'm watching this later on, like if future me is watching this, I'm telling you right now, we're not here to make money as a setter. We're here to gain the skill set. So when we become a closer, it's so much easier, right? And for me right now, I'm sparring. So this summer, it's definitely happening. 100% it's happening this summer. But again, like it honestly sucks that I'm putting in so much effort, but I'm, not making money as a setter right now. But that's kind of what it is. Now we're going to see how this day goes out. Hopefully it's better. I'm definitely going to triage some of these leads because obviously, right, it's kind of stupid. And I'm probably going to record this tonight as well for day 10. But yeah, that's kind of what it is.